Any company that uses Victoria Beckham as part of their launch and PR campaign is clearly trying to appeal to a very different market. And that's exactly what Range Rover did when they poshed up the compact SUV segment back in 2010 with the launch of the Evoque. Truthfully, I was never a fan of either, but they were clearly onto something because the Evoque is the fastest selling Range Rover with over 770,000 units sold since launch. They're going to tell you it's because of the stylish design. I think it's more to do with that it was affordable in Range Rover terms. So it got me wondering, who is the Evoque consumer? According to Chief Designer Jerry McGovern, the Evoque is all about turning heads and making people smile, and it's a car they believe pioneered the luxury compact SUV segment. Well, it may not look all that different, the second generation definitely an evolutionary car, but 99% of the body structure is all new. The new Evoque definitely draws some styling inspiration from its larger sibling, the Velar, and that's a really good thing. The addition of slim matrix LED headlights freshen up the front end, and there's also a new rear light cluster, and the black trim with blacked out badging bridging the tail lights emphasizes its proportions. And then there are these, the flush mounted door handles, but that's not the only part of the Velar that the new Evoque has inherited. It now also comes with the Touch Pro Duo infotainment system, two 10-inch high-definition glass touchscreens for vehicle and climate control, and the infotainment system. It's really very easy to use, and it allows you access to plenty of information, but in an uncluttered, upmarket, state-of-the-art manner. So a high-definition camera has actually been placed in the shark fin antenna, and it really is such clever technology because it gives you double the visibility of a standard rearview mirror. Now imagine you put passengers in the back or their boxes. Your visibility in the rearview mirror is completely restricted. Not anymore. That for me is very clever. I like it. Apparently 70% of owners also didn't have any kids, so they probably weren't too worried about the relative lack of space in the first generation, but it has been somewhat addressed in the second generation. It's got that 21mm extended wheelbase now, which really benefits the rear passengers, in particular here, where they've found 20mm of additional knee room. The boot's also been improved, an extra 10%, 591 litres, which is actually a pretty adequate boot space. Now you can fit golf clubs in, which is cool. And if I flip the 40-20-40 rear seat configuration down, which is nice from an added practicality perspective, it gives me 1,383 litres. Very usable. 73% are urbanites. Now, according to Land Rover, the Evoque is a true city SUV. So why then is it offered with all-terrain as standard, when in fact, just an all-wheel drive system would suit that statement and the personality of this car? Yes, of course, the Evoque is incredibly capable, especially if you choose the All-Terrain 2 option. Hit that auto function, you are going to be discovering some truly amazing and special places. But are you really in an Evoque planning on wading through a 600mm deep river or traversing the Drakensberg? Yeah, you're probably not going to, but I hear you. It's all about their heritage. I say, posh spice. Let's just leave it there. The Evoque comes with adaptive dynamics, essentially lots of sensors continuously sending lots of data to the suspension to help it adapt on the fly to optimize the overall ride conditions. And the way it does that is just by adjusting the dampness settings. So bumpy roads, smooth roads, off-road, it's doing its best to make the ride as compliant as possible. At the back, it runs with an integral link, which not only aids in the overall comfort of the drive, but also helps with the body control. The Evoque's been launched with two Ingenium engines, starting with a D180, which is a 2-litre turbo diesel engine with 132 kilowatts and 400 Newton meters. But we're driving in the P250, which is the 2-litre petrol turbo engine with 183 kilowatts and 365 newton meters. Think about that, it's plenty. I mean, that is little proper hot hatch performance figures, but that really isn't what this car is about. I mean, most of the time we've been driving in comfort or eco mode, and the overall ride quality is really amazing. What I have found to be a bit of a problem actually is that 9-speed ZF box, which is offered as standard across the range. ZF is good, and you'd think 9-speed it would be seamless. Great on the open road when you're driving, but I've caught this box out quite a few times, especially when you're coming to a stop and then you accelerate again. It's trying to figure out what it needs to do when. Not the greatest as far as I'm concerned. But you know, the real success story for the brand with Evoque is that 76% of local buyers were first-time owners of Range Rovers. And that really speaks of the aspirational element of the brand. People grow up wanting to own a Rangie, and suddenly along comes a car like the Evoque that is priced at a point that, well, makes it more accessible to so many more consumers. And there's also a lot of specification to choose from. The Evoque is offered as an S, an SE, an HSE, and as well as the R Dynamic trim line. The D180 lineup starts at 734,000 Rand for the S and goes up to 920,000 Rand for the D180R Dynamic HSE. The P250S starts at 776,000 Rand with the R Dynamic HSE priced at 962,000. Look, it's never going to be a practical buy. You're buying this for status, and it's priced accordingly and actually in keeping with its competitors like the Mercedes GLC Coupe and BMW's X4. But you know, I think that the subtle styling changes, the inclusion of things like Touch Pro Duo have added a genuine sophistication that I think was missing in the original. It's less posh spice and more Meghan Markle.